Hi, this is Colin from Watch Off the Cuff. Today I'm going to talk about finger cots. What size should you buy? Recently, someone ordered the medium size. It was a man's name, and I reached out to them and I said, "Are you sure you want the medium? The medium can be very tight. They're actually quite small. I personally use the large size, and I don't have like crazy, meaty fingers. So the idea is like, so how small are they? How large are they? And how am I going to tell? So for me, the large, which I've got some out here, fit nicely. They don't really stretch, especially at the beginning when I put it on my finger. And my diameter of my finger is about, I'm not going to squeeze it too hard, about 18 millimeters for my index finger. And I think my thumb is, and then it's a little tighter, but it's okay, about 22 millimeters. If you don't have a set of calipers like that, you grab like a little tape measure, or sometimes you could wrap a little piece of paper around it and mark it. And you can see that for the large size, my thumb's about seven centimeters in diameter, and my index finger is like 5.5 centimeters. So to give you an idea, the diameter of the kind of like rolled up finger cot itself is about 19 millimeters. So pretty close to the actual diameter, like the first part of everything. Once they go on, they're not going to slip off. Like they're going to stay on there. Where the ones that are medium, I'm just going to go through the package. I thought I had a package of this. They're more like 15, 16 millimeter in diameter. So already when you put them on, you're going to push them down. And I found when I used these, they were uncomfortable. When I took them off, I had a ring around my finger, but where the rolled part of it bit into my finger. So I would suggest that if you have, like, and again, I wouldn't say that I have meaty man hands at all. That you're going to want to probably do the large unless you have very thin fingers and you want to go to the medium. These ones I bought at some point as well. I stopped using them just because they were also too small, and they are kind of almost in between. They're maybe a little bit bigger than the mediums here, but you see you push it on and it's going to bite pretty good into my finger. So the types, why do I use these black ones? They are ESD rated, like electrostatic discharge. So when I'm working on quartz watches, in the odd chance, I mean, I'm here in Canada, we finally had the weather turn, it's dry. If I have any static electricity, I don't want to zap anything in the watch itself. The likelihood is low, but I find that they're very stable. These regular generic rubber ones, I had an old pack, and what had happened was they start to go after a while. Even I grabbed another one out here and I kind of got it halfway, it already started to bind to itself. They're not nice. Anyway, they'll go. I've had a package of these go bad, where they just start to just disintegrate. Where I've never had any issues with these black ones that Horsco or Hortec makes. So the other thing is too, like, okay, well, what am I gonna do if I get the finger cots? What's the general usage for them while we're talking about it? You can stop watching the video now, because now you know what size to buy in terms of the finger cots if you're on my website or elsewhere. So we're covered. So usually people put them on your non-dominant hand, the first three. The reason why, I mean, if I'm doing something really messy, I just use whatever. I just use disposable gloves. The problem is if you're going to wear them for hours and hours, and chances are you're going to be at the bench for hours and hours, that if you just get too sweaty, it's gross. So this is a way that you can keep your hand nice and comfortable and have the protection. So the reason being is that you don't want any of the oils from your hand to touch any internal parts of the watch at any time. There are situations, even when I'm doing a battery change, where they've taken it somewhere else and I get it like 2 or 3 years later, it needs a battery change, and you can see someone has taken their thumb and they pressed it on the battery. And then, of course, around the casing that holds the battery, the print on the movement itself is there. Once that stays there for a couple of years, that never comes off. It'll be permanently etched into the movement. So we never want any of our oils to touch any of those inside components of the watch. So that's why we're doing this. So in this case, I have it on my non-dominant hand, and then the idea is that I'm using or manipulating whatever else with tools. If you're doing something crazy, or you're still building confidence, people definitely put them on the other hand as well. And then if you're going to use your finger, you do it. But over time, the only time I actually directly touch things is, okay, maybe I'm just picking up a battery. It wouldn't be the end of the world if I touched it, but I just like to just not touch it with my bare hands. Because again, it's putting oil that's going to go in the watch. I just don't like it. So maybe picking up a battery or something. But otherwise, I'm going to be using a tool. If I'm going to like hold something in place, I'm going to be using a probe or a tool. So the only time I'm really doing it is if, for example, I'm I'm picking up a movement or flipping a movement. Maybe I'm doing it with my fingers, or I'm holding up a movement and I'm looking to inspect the height of hands or something. So in general, or even I'm just like manipulating or turning the movement itself. Even if it's in a movement holder, like you might come in contact with the movement. So anyway, that's typically. But if you want to put on these three fingers as well, I have seen people put it on their fourth. I guess I'm just like a three tripod kind of guy. Like I've never touched anything with this. I'm like this all the time with these kind of fingers tucked in all the time. So anyway, so I do reuse them. Like I'll reuse them, but if in the course of a day, it'll be unlucky, or it would be unlikely, I should say, that I would use the same finger Cots all day long. They're gonna come in contact with the gasket at some point, where you're gonna touch something. If I'm like lubricating a gasket, now I've got a little bit of grease. I don't want that silicone grease anywhere I don't want it to be. So anyway, and sometimes they'll just tear. So you throw them away, and I've got a little jar of them over here, and I just grab as I go. That's why you get like 100 in a pack, and Bob's your uncle. That's it. So anyway, if you're on the website and you're worried about what I should get, if you have very thin fingers, you do the medium. But for by and large, the large size is the ones that you want to get. And I prefer the black ESD rated, so I can use them on quartz, mechanical, and I just know that I'm covered and I'm like eliminating any kind of risk. Thank you very much. Till we meet again, talk again. I don't know. That's getting weird. All right. Cheers.